But guys, we have got a really interesting topic today. It is a topic that I actually have not talked about lately, and that is the topic of psychological fuckery. Now, some might frown on talking about psychological fuckery, but I think that talking about psychological fuckery is important for several reasons. Number one is that the battle that we are in with the woke left for the soul of America, as it were, is it is a battle of attrition. There is a difference between a war that you fight with like there are different types of wars that you can fight. In one war, you basically kill off the enemy and you defeat them that way, or you just make you keep beating them, figuratively or literally, I suppose. But anyway, you keep beating them until they cannot fight anymore. It's like it's like a knockout, right? It's like if you're in a boxing match, your whole goal is to knock out your opponent, right? So that they can't get up, so that they can't find anymore. However, that is not the battle that we're fighting. When we're talking about the culture war, we are fighting a battle of attrition. This is the same type of battle that businesses fight. When you have competitors in business, like Mac versus PC or Walmart versus Target or et cetera, they are fighting a battle of attrition. Does anyone know what a battle of attrition means? Any ideas in the chat? This is going to be a little bit of an interactive stream we're going to do today. I'm going to teach you some stuff. But what do you guys think? I know there's a little bit of a delay, so I'm just letting you guys answer for a sec. Anyone have any ideas what it means to be in a battle of attrition? Anyone? Bueller. Am I talking to myself? All right, I'll tell you. A battle of attrition is not about physically making it so that the enemy can't go on. It is about making the enemy give up. You want the enemy to voluntarily withdraw from the battlefield. Yes, you guys are getting it now. Okay, maybe it was just the delay in the chat. Slowly whittling away an enemy at a time. Yeah, that's great. Yup. And it's also about you move inch by inch until you eventually win. That's part of it. But Dragon Water is actually making probably one of the best points. A battle of attrition is a battle that does not stop until someone chooses to leave the battlefield. The vast majority of wars that people fight are not about being physically more powerful than your opponent. It's about mentally outsmarting them to the point where they give up. Rabbi X says a war of attrition is when you completely decimate your opponent and yes, this is perfect. You take away their will to fight. In the vast majority of cases, can an enemy, however you define your enemy to be, can they physically go on? Well, yeah, most of the time they can. But what we want to do is we want to get to the heart of the matter. We want to take away any sense they have that they're going to have any chance of a victory in this fight. And the way that we do that is from psychological fuckery. That is how you win wars in today's society. And the war that we are in for the culture, the war that we are in against the woke left, it is all about outsmarting your opponents and making it not physically possible, but intellectually impossible for them to continue. There are other reasons we want to engage in psychological fuckery as well. One of the main reasons, and we're going to talk about this, is that when you engage in psychological fuckery with an opponent, you force them into making mistakes. If you can get your opponent to make a mistake, that is a win for you. And oftentimes the easiest way to do that is by getting in their head and trying to guide their thoughts to a really dark place where they think all hope is lost, and then they act out. Another reason we want to learn about psychological fuckery is because, well, it's fun. It's fun. Listen, I studied psychology to be able to help people, and that is legitimate. And I very rarely will use psychological fuckery against people unless they damn well deserve it. But it is so much fun when they do. It is so much fun to toy with people. It is so much fun to watch them squirm. And remember, we're talking about people who deserve it. We're not talking about innocent bystanders. We're talking about people who have done something to deserve the mind fuck that you are about to hand them. But the last reason is this, and this is probably the most important reason that I want everyone to take the topic of psychological fuckery seriously. When you understand how to screw with the heads of other people, that means you will be in a better position to not be screwed with yourself. Because when you learn how to execute some of the tactics we're going to talk about today onto other people, you set yourself up to be able to detach from it when it's happening to you, to say, why am I really upset right now? This person has said something and it's triggered me by doing this, and that's why I don't like it. And you set yourself up in a position to be more resilient to psychological fuckery attacks when people try to do it to you. And believe me, people will try to do it to you. Heather says, if you make a course on how to do this, I will purchase it. Well, Heather, it's interesting that you say that, because I do have a side project, and this is a side project that I've just been playing with, but will probably eventually turn into a course and a book, called The Art of the Trigger. I've done a couple videos about Art of the Trigger. You guys thought it was just about me pissing off influencers? No. The Art of the Trigger, which you can find by going to artofthetrigger.com. Actually, let me see. Do I have a banner made for this? I think I might. Do I have any clicky banner that I made for this? Yes, I did. Look at that. You can subscribe at artofthetrigger.com. What it's going to do right now is it's going to redirect to a Substack where I've started writing, and I have a podcast that I'm going to be it should be up in other places. I'm basically starting with a Substack right now, and there's articles on here about why we're talking about triggering people. There's article like all triggers are self-inflicted. I've got the case study of the triggering of Styx Hexenhammer. I've got the case study. I thought I had the case study of Deb Philman. Hang on. Maybe I need to, the triggering of Deb Philman. I'm doing triggering case studies talking about how I psychologically fucked with people and how they lost their shit as a result of it. So this is a fun site. I'm calling The Art of the Trigger a satirical self-help site with real self-help, because in exploring how we are triggering other people and why other people get triggered, we can better protect ourselves from being triggered, and we can better take care of our own baggage. So Art of the Trigger is like, it's a side project. I'm not promising a regular publishing schedule or anything, but it is something that eventually I do actually want to turn into a course, and I do actually want to write a book called The Art of the Trigger. I have so many articles I want to write for Art of the Trigger. Did you guys know? Side note, did you guys know that I once triggered the Church of Satan on Twitter? This is real. I once triggered the Church of Satan. Does anyone remember this? I had like an hour-long pissing contest with the Church of Satan Twitter account in which they were absolutely triggered by me. That's going to be a whole Art of the Trigger case study. It was fascinating. That is that triggering the Church of Satan was like a feather in my cap. I was so impressed with myself. Yeah, some people remember it. They do. So this is what Art of the Trigger is. It's to teach people how to do this, because I do actually think that that this is important.